Welcome to Land Academy. This is the cash flow from Landshow, where we show you how to buy unwanted vacant land and sell it for more on the internet. I'm Steve Butala.
I'm Jill DeWit.
We are your hosts. With over 15,000 completed transactions, we are the experts in this niche land flipping business.
Whether you are looking to buy your dream property for half price, start your own real estate business, or create a passive income so you can enjoy the lifestyle you've always dreamed about, you have found the right place.
By the way, we hold a drawing for a free property every single month. Enter to win the land by rating this show on iTunes and downloading our free ebook at landacademy.com.
All right, let's get this thing started.
Hey, welcome to episode 0 of the Land Academy podcast. I'm Steve Butala, the host of your show. You know, most people don't know you can buy unwanted rural land for as little as $100 pretty consistently around the country. What? I'll get to that in a minute or two. Episode 0 of a podcast is supposed to be an informative, memorable experience, and mine isn't any different. Well, I added entertaining to the list. Hey, if it's not entertaining, you're not going to listen. I wouldn't. See, the guys that produce my show said, Steve, please complete your episode 0 show. Everyone's got to do one, but no horsing around. Tell us a little bit about yourself, but don't brag. Let your listeners know why you're qualified to talk about buying and selling unwanted rural land for next to nothing and then flipping it on the internet for thousands of bucks more almost immediately. But listen, don't oversell yourself about it. Talk about how you've completed more than 15,000 deals since the 90s, but try to be humble and believable. Tell your listeners that this podcast is about your company, landacademy.com. It's really not about you as an individual. And then they actually said, tell your listeners that they're not alone in their real estate ambition. We really like that slogan. You should use it as much as you can. So here's episode 0 of the Land Academy podcast. And at the end, I'm going to tell you a short story called All of My Friends Think I'm a Drug Dealer. I started landacademy.com, and now this podcast, as a request, or at the request of thousands of my customers, my regular land buying customers. I've purchased and sold tens of thousands of properties since the 90s, and tons of our land buyers wanted to know how we sell land to them so inexpensively, and we still stay in business, you know, and I think what they're really asking me is, what's the secret? How do you buy it so cheap? This podcast is about buying unwanted, rural, vacant land for next to nothing and selling it for more on the internet, a lot more. Hey, I'm super excited about this because it's my chance to answer questions and discuss topics to help people to be successful in front of the whole world this time instead of just one email at a time like I've been doing for a lot of years. I'll be producing a 30-minute episode every day where I speak with 3 types of people in our business. One, our customers, because they probably have some of the same questions and thoughts that you might have. Number 2, our super successful colleagues, people in the business who are now earning a living full-time in real estate investment or a related field. And number 3, my partner Jill, because she's on the front lines every day, right alongside our students, talking with land sellers and land buyers and new students and old students, whether they're having a good day or not. And we often share her phone conversations or the conversations that her staff has, because I really think that you can learn something about it. And frankly, it's pretty entertaining. Jill and I started a really rough version of this podcast a little less than a year ago, and I frankly didn't think it would amount to much. Well, it got pretty successful pretty quickly, so this is our crack at making a real podcast. And I'm quoting our producers, a real one. Each of these episodes has a specific structure, and it was meant to inform and entertain you. And if my team and I are doing our jobs, you'll join us for the next episode. That's what it's all about, and that's really my hope. I'll ask my guests questions about where they've triumphed and where they've experienced tragedy, what deals they wish they could replicate, as well as the ones that they really probably never told their spouses about. Hey, it's all in the name of helping us get where we want to go as private investors working for ourselves. I produce the Land Academy podcast with the following in mind, and it's why you should subscribe. Every day, people reach out to us because they want to make themselves better. And passive income from real estate is a good way to do that, especially when you're taking advice from a guy who's got 15,000 deals under his belt and doesn't take himself too seriously. Some people are interested in becoming full or part-time real estate investors, but they don't know exactly where to start. Most people don't know that you can buy unwanted land for as little as $100 pretty consistently around the country, like I mentioned in the beginning. That's what this podcast is all about. Some people are interested in bettering their financial situation. Maybe they want to make an extra $50,000 a year, or they want to work every other Sunday. We have members accomplishing that and everything in between. Maybe they're committed to making $10,000 a month for the rest of their life from passive income. Or maybe they want to buy a cabin lot upstate for their family for less than $5,000 and leave it to their kids. Or maybe they're like Jill and I. They bought and sold a few properties, tasted the victory, and they just can't stop making money doing it. They're all good reasons, but don't take my word for it. Go to landacademy.com. It's packed with free information on this topic, including some thoughtful compliments from our students and our customers and our members. And there's a free ebook there, as well as a number of other free resources. My whole business model is outlined in that ebook, and people must like it because it's been downloaded several thousand times this year alone. All right, now for that story. All my friends think I'm a drug dealer. Several years ago, I quit my job. I was working at an investment bank in Phoenix making pretty good money, actually really good money, and it was the kind of job that I wanted my whole life. Great pay, easy hours, lots of fun. I was working with good people, and I was really good at it, but something was missing. And I know now what it was. I wasn't my own private investor. Or said another way, I wasn't my own boss. I wasn't working for myself. Well, about a year before I quit, I started buying and selling land on the side. I started a business selling properties on the side and selling them on the internet. It got so big during that year that it allowed me to quit. So what did I do? I bought a couple of expensive sports cars and a big house in North Scottsdale. I didn't get another job. I kind of worked from home and never really took on an office outside of that environment for a couple of years, until a couple of years later. And a few months later, the guys that I was working with and a couple of other buddies that I had asked me to join them for a beer. I got there, and they were concerned. It was kind of like an intervention situation. They were all concerned about me. They wanted to know, what was I really doing for a living? Well, in the end, after I got it out of them, they wanted to know if I was dealing drugs. They wanted to know if I was a drug dealer. Of course not. That's my response. We all had a good laugh about it, and then they said, "No, really, are you a drug dealer, Steve?" Of course not. And I'll tell you what, after that, they had 1,000 questions about buying and selling land. You know why? Because they all wanted to quit their jobs as bad as I did, but nobody really talked about it. They wanted to work for themselves. Well, I guess that was actually the real beginning of Land Academy. And since that time, between now and back then, my company, Landshow, that's the real estate company that I own that buys and sells property even to this day, right alongside Land Academy. Well, we've purchased and sold tens of thousands of properties, and you probably already know that by now. There's no looking back. That we're having a blast doing it. I hope you enjoy this podcast too. And now Land Academy, and specifically this podcast, is my way of giving back. It's a no stones unturned approach to kickstarting your career in real estate, or simply adding some good passive income to what you already have going on right now. Hey, those buddies that I was talking about back that thought I was a drug dealer? One of those guys is a multimillionaire now. His name's Mark, and he buys land and sells it on the internet just a couple of miles from here in Scottsdale, from me here in Scottsdale, Arizona. He was my first student. Well, I did it. This is Land Academy Podcast, Episode 0. Join me in the next episode where I talk with my partner, Jill, about how to buy property for $100 total cost consistently every week. Thanks. If you have a question about how to buy property super cheap and sell it for more, let us know at 888-735-5045. Jill and I will try to get your message on the air. Every single month, we give away a property for free. No strings, no funny business. It's super simple to qualify. 2 simple steps. leave us your feedback for this podcast on iTunes. And number 2, get the free ebook at landacademy.com. You don't even have to read it. Now go buy some property.